That's how I got into web design. 20 years at National Grid doing their websites and intranets. So what was meant to be a 3-month gig as a secretary turned into a full-time career. And when I left National Grid in 2015, I left there with a wife who sat across from me when I first met her, and a dog which we bought from the company notice board. The corporate world taught me a lot. And when I left National Grid, I figured, well, I've got 500 connections on LinkedIn and well connected to go into the big wide world and start up my own business, and which is where I spotted. I actually picked up a franchise magazine in the Warwick office of National Grid and saw the It's Easy advert, and that's how it came about. But when I left National Grid with my 500 contacts, I quickly realised that 499 of them actually worked at National Grid, and the one that wasn't working at National Grid used to work at National Grid.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, that person was the very person that gave me my job as a secretary. And David is still a friend, and he came to my wedding and everything else. But yeah, so I had a network of nothing really when I left
so,
there.
so what did you know of franchising at that point in time, and why pick up a franchise magazine? Because I think if I might have been in your situation, I might have just gone, don't know what that is. It's McDonald's or something like that. Not too interested.
Yeah, you mentioned McDonald's. I did actually have some experience in the franchise world when I was over in Mallorca. I met with a guy called Carmel Sidhu. At the time, he was CEO of United Biscuits, and part of their portfolio was the Wimpy brand.
Okay.
And he had problems in Spain and wanted to liquidate the Spanish operation, basically. So I'd got some understanding of how franchises work with that experience. Um, but it came about from a conversation with my sister, actually. And she said to me one day, she says, around early 2015, she said, "Oh, I'm getting a website built." I said, "Are you really? What do I do for a living?" She says, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about that." Anyway, so she paid £2,000 for this guy to build her a website, and it was for luxury pet beds.
Okay.
And it took the guy 8 months to build this website, by which time my sister had moved on and wasn't doing that business anymore. And I said to her, "Why do you think it took so long?" He said, "Well, the guy said he was busy. He had 3 clients on at the time." Now, although I could build the websites and do everything that was required to build the websites, it quickly dawned on me that as a team of one, that could be my problem. So for me, it was all about servicing the customers correctly, making sure they didn't have that experience. And that's when I thought the way to do this is hit the ground running with a franchise, all the processes set up, a team behind you, where I don't do the work. I create the business, create the sales, create the customer relationships, and then the work gets done in a timely manner. So, and that's why the franchising became the option. I wasn't going to do that, but that one conversation again flipped the way I was thinking, and coincidentally, that's when I picked up the magazine.
It just makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? When you kind of think about it like that, you don't always have to make an improvement on something if it's already working really well. You can just introduce that to new people.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. And as a business owner, when I first started with It's Easy, although I'd had companies in the past, I had a sales company selling phones. The first phone service was Diamond Cable, and I had a business with 12 salespeople selling that. So I had sales experience. You see, I've done lots of jobs I've not mentioned. You see, they keep coming out the woodwork, don't they? But I picked on the prime ones. But all of these things I've done, but as a business owner, I was still learning. So I got a business coach. He's an action coach. It's a franchise. I bought into a franchise. My action coach's previous career was uh, director of sales or director of franchising at Snap-on Tools. His son, Johnny, who is 31, 32, has got 3 McDonald's franchises. Uh, there are more franchises out there than people care to think, whether it's a small cleaning company or a large hotel chain. I think Best Western's a franchise.
yeah,
They're all out there, and they're working models. If you've seen, if you know, you mentioned McDonald's earlier. If you ever want to find out about franchising, watch the film called The Founder, and that really does tell the story of McDonald's and Ray Kroc and how he saw the opportunity. He was just a salesman, but saw the opportunity and created the McDonald's franchise, which incidentally, their business isn't burgers, their business is property.
I want to take you back to day one of joining It's Easy then as a franchisee.
Yeah.
Um, what what kind of happens? What does it feel like to you to be, a new business owner? And yeah, kind of what were you doing in those first few weeks?
It's an interesting one because I moved to the point where I actually did start working, because when I took the franchise on, I decided to take the summer off because my boy was 4, and I wanted to spend the summer with him before he went to school. So then it came to the big wide world of actually starting the business, and so you go out there with let's go then, and you have your first couple of appointments, and you think, okay, that's that done for today. What else do we do? So what you quickly learn is okay. So you haven't got any customers yet. The first one's not arrived. So you make sure that you're learning what you're doing. For me, it was about learning the It's Easy editing platform. And the reason I picked on It's Easy was having spent so much time at National Grid working with lots of different platforms for editing and creating websites. It really was easy to use. And I was training 200 corporate web editors across the UK and the US, continually reminding them how to edit things, whereas the It's Easy system was great. So in the first month or two, you'd spend time honing your skills, if you like, on the platform in order to help the customers. But then the first customers come along, and you spend a lot of time with them because it's your only customer. In fact, my very first customer is still a customer. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, they've ordered a second website for another part of their business and completely rebuilt the first website we built, because websites do need changing. But then again, it was about talking with other franchisees. Going networking is really important. You've not got any customers, we're going to find them. Our business revolves around face to face. While we do use Zoom, primarily now, the first contact is face to face to get a feel for the customer. But it's all things you learned as you go. What works, what doesn't work. I mean, when it first started, I'd network with 2 flies on the wall if they were there. It was went to everything. But you find the one that does work for you, and then focus on making that the best it can be. So yeah, early days it was a learning curve, but the customers did come in. The websites were produced very high quality in a timely manner, unlike my sister's 8-month wait for a website. We were turning websites around in 3 or 4 weeks, as expected. They came when they said they would be met ready. So yeah, it was learning curve first, but throw yourself into the business, spend time up front, reap the rewards later.
Yeah, it's good advice that. And I think it's helpful because you've got something there in the background to go and learn. When you go out there on your own, as I've discovered, you kind of don't know what to learn. You start learning anything and everything, and probably spending too much time on the accounting side of things and worrying about that stuff, and not knowing what software or platforms to invest in. And I mean, every decision is a big decision, and it it's not wasted time, I guess, because I've learned a lot, but I perhaps spent time learning stuff that I didn't need to learn. So yeah, that's kind of a big advantage that I can see now that investing in a franchise has, is you've actually get told, do this, look at this,
Yeah.
here's the software you use, this is how you run it.
I mean, you do learn things as you go along. Of course, the new thing we're learning is AI. I use ChatGPT for idea creation. I don't use it for here's your content, because it sounds like ChatGPT's written it. Um, but you do learn stuff that you don't need to learn. You think you need to learn X, Y, and Z. So while the franchise steer you in the right direction, as a business owner, you always want to look for something different and better. And if you've got spare time, it's a nightmare, because you think, okay, what can I do now? Let's go and look at this technology instead and see what that might do. And then sometimes you learn things because your customers are using. So, whether it's learning a different CRM system, you know, um, for example, like HubSpot's quite complicated, but several customers use it, so I've learned it. So when they ask me a question that's not related to the website and they might want to integrate it into our website, I now know how to do that, what's involved, and can suggest things to them. The It's Easy strapline is helping your business grow. Well, the more I can learn about helping businesses grow, the better I am for my clients. So I learn things all the time. I share my black book, which might be all the contacts I have from networking, um, and things I've learned along the way that might help them. And I pass those details along. Caring is sharing.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good. So it makes me wonder though, what's your core skill? And now maybe this is the better question. What core skill do you need to be successful with It's Easy? Because we've spoken before, and you're doing well with the brand, right? Your business is going strong, and it's really good to see. But what do you think is the kind of core skill that you need, or you have, that allows you to be successful?
Well, the first thing to think about is, what am I selling? So we're selling websites. Do I need to be technical to do that? No, I don't. Do I need to know how to use it? Yes, I do. However, It's Easy is easy to use. So not a core skill, but good to know. Core skill really for me would be how you speak with people. And the trick with speaking to people is not to speak at all. If you let them do the talking, you find out about the customer. So how you manage people for me is what I would say a really important skill. You cannot take a web design brief if you've not listened to what the client's talking about. If you don't learn to understand your client and get to know them well, how can you possibly help them grow their business? So core skill number one, people. How you interact with people, how you manage those relationships is really important.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because people will assume that they'll need to come from web development background. I know you have, and that's possibly an advantage for you. But yeah, I'd imagine people going into any franchise feel like they need to have some sort of expertise or knowledge in that industry to therefore be able to run it effectively. But the more I speak to franchisees, the more I realize that it's more about those people to people skills, like you say. Even in this AI world that we're in, the ability to interact and communicate effectively with another human being is probably the core skill to have, right?
It is, and then beyond that, you need sales skills. Sales and marketing is key to what we do. It's what we sell. We're selling sales and marketing. Really, a website is just that. It's a tool for that process. So the more you have in that arena in terms of knowledge, the better. Now, for me, I've actually always been in the communications environment, whether it was being a printer, printing window cards that ultimately told a person this house is for sale, to being a radio presenter, again, giving out information in a certain way, or selling telephones to people, or whatever it might be, or being a secretary, and all sorts of things like that. It's always been around how to communicate. And when you listen to some people saying the reason it's falling apart is our business partners don't communicate with the employees. It's always about communication. So communication skills, again, another big requirement. And I've been lucky that all of my things kind of all play into one another. So I can talk to a customer about brand and print and other things and the benefits of YouTube and doing podcasts, whatever. And as the world's changed, social media is the same sort of thing. It's all a communications environment, and it's just how it's used. And there are two ways to use it: the right way and a bad way. And unfortunately, some people get it completely wrong. But if we can help steer them in the right way, don't do all 10 social media platforms. Do the ones you might want to use. If your business favors one direction, go that way. If it favors a different direction, use a different platform. And supported by your website, then you've got what you need. But it's all about understanding communications arena in general.
Yeah, totally. And that essentially, as you say, is what sales and marketing is. Is a communications game, isn't it? At the end of the day, and the website is a key part for every business, because I tend to look at it like a shop front. It's your supermarket, it's your store
Yeah,
that's at the front. The social media pages are more like uh, just to use a supermarket analogy again, is more like a Tesco's Express or something like that, right? Where people can get a little bit of the info, but not the full detail. Ultimately, you want to get them into the Tesco, your brand environment, and then push them towards the big superstores in the long run.
that's it. Yeah, and it's really important you get that right as well for the customer. What's my USP? And the USP is, we worked out that quite simply, we make take the pain away of getting a website. Getting a website is easy. You don't have to know how to build a website. I mean, if you pick on, I don't know, let's pick on an electrician. They might be the best electrician in the world, but you try and get them to put that onto a piece of paper to build a website, they haven't got a clue how to tell you what they do. And it's only with meetings that go, over, several meetings, really, you eke out what they actually do, and then you can help them generate content. You might provide them a copywriter to do that. But what we don't do is leave them to worry about it in the background. It is, again, working with the customers and the clients to get that out of them, if you like.
Yeah, they don't. People don't know what they do they? Half the time, and trying to eke that out and identify what's going to be attractive to somebody on the outside. Yeah, can be challenging when you're in the thick of it. So, yeah, I hadn't thought of it before. Like, because that's kind of what a coach does, right? It takes what's in that person's head and kind of lays it out for them to see, so that they can piece it all together and work out a plan forwards, which is what you're doing. The plan forwards, though, is to have that website finished and being able to help generate or help convert clients.
Yeah, I want the best website to be the best for them, but also the best for us. I always challenge clients about. They'll say we want this and we want that on the website. We want flashy lights and all this stuff. And I say, well, you don't really, because there's several reasons not to do that. And here's why. So we explain why, and then but you never just say, here's why you shouldn't have it. You then counter that with, here's what I recommend that you try or recommend that you have. And it's being able to talk directly to them, and not. I want to use the word pander to their needs, but we don't want to pander to the needs to the point where it's detrimental to what the finished product might look like, because it won't be doing them any favors if you don't stand up and say, well, actually, that's old hat. An example might be one-page websites, which we've never done, but it was a design fad just a few years ago, and they were awful, awful. But everybody wanted one. Oh, it's great! It's just one page. Yeah, but all of a sudden they've gone out of fashion, and those that have them are great when you find them, because guess what? They become new clients, because with a proper website, as I like to call it. But being big enough to say no, don't, that's not the right way to do it. However, have you thought about doing it this way? And here's why. And here's some examples of what we've done with other people. And so that's my coaching element, is part of the design brief, to give them a website that truly reflects their business, because we only build bespoke websites. We don't use templated stuff. Why shoehorn a business into a template? They've created their baby of a business, and you want to put me in a template? Really? No, we will build your website that's fit for you, for your business. But you need to perhaps rethink this element of that and try this instead. And yeah, eventually you come somewhere down the middle and get the website that's right for them and good for us, because it's, at the end of the day, our name's at the bottom of the website. Who built the website? It's easy. Lots of great looking website. You don't want websites that aren't great looking. I have customers that have been on board from day one. In fact, I think I was looking at the other day, my first 11 clients are still clients.
Wow.
Some
So
have
that
gone by the wayside through changing or closing the business. We lost some to COVID. Or that they've gone different ways or been bought out, whatever it might be. But yeah, those first clients are still clients.
yeah. See that repeat model, or that the ability to have a client over a long period of time is it's kind of the dream, really, isn't it? When you're setting up a business, you want to have that almost like residual income, because you, as part of the service, you host the site, and obviously there's a fee that comes with that. So having that
Yeah.
residual income, I mean, that's what we all want, isn't it? Just regular income that, okay, if you might lose a client, gain a client, it's not going to vary too much, as long as you're delivering a good service, of course.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, when you've got a recurring income, the first thing you do is protect the client. You want to make sure that client stays on board for as long as possible. Not so much because it is a recurring income, that's a consequence of keeping the client. But when you build relationships with a client, and lots of my clients are now very good friends. I've been to the weddings, I go to the houses for lunch and breakfast quite regularly. I have several clients that do that all the time. They come. I've got one coming to the house this afternoon.
Nice.
We'll chew the cud and talk about his website and do some other stuff. And That's how it is. But when you nurture your clients, the consequence is the recurring income. And so, client retention is really important for any company. And I tell my clients exactly the same. So, how do you retain your customer in the case where they can be retained customer? Because some businesses, it's not retained work. However, give the right experience, your customer will give you other work, which is where most of my business comes from referrals from clients mainly. The reality is that, I'm not seeing myself retire anytime soon. I'm enjoying myself too much, but it's, what else can we pull from the business? What other type of clients can we do? And so I'm just, I do a lot of websites for charities, about 15 charities on board. I'm now on the board of trustees of 2 of those charities. So, working into the kind of industries I like, not saying picking and choosing, but, share the same ethics as me, if you like.
Do you feel like you're making and it sounds like you are, but do you feel like you're making a big impact in your community, your local community?
Yeah, absolutely. I was a parish councillor for 8 years as well. You kind of the type of people that do that generally tend to get involved in all sorts of things, that giving back piece. But I'm well known in the charity circles thanks to one of my best clients, who's now one of my best friends, who's involved in pretty much every charity in Leicestershire one way or another. And it was her that said, "You really ought to be a trustee." So I am on the board of trustees at the Zenithia Trust, look after disadvantaged women and children in Leicestershire, and Be Inspired, a community charity based in Braunston. I'm on their trade arm, if you like. We've got £10 million portfolio that we manage. But yeah, John is the charity boy, if you like, in Leicester. They all know me. I go to a lot of events, and I'm there to help. If they might talk to me about marketing or something else, or how do I do this, and yeah, I'll happily help everybody. It's one of the fun
Fantastic.
parts of the job. Finding stuff you like to do and getting paid at the same time is great, but getting involved and giving back is even better.
So my next question then is, what's been your proudest or most inspiring moment in your career? And again, that could be from any part of your career.
I think what I've done with the franchise, to be fair, I've done lots of things. I love being a radio presenter. I love having other businesses. I love doing the job at National Grid. But actually, making this work and work well has, enabled me. My wife was working at Western Power. One of the first goals was to get her out of there because she didn't really enjoy that role, which we did. So to be able to say we're standing on our own 2 feet with what we've done as a team, because she does help, has got to be it.
Yeah, nice.
The franchise has given us exactly what we wanted, which was more family time, more time together. I'm not money driven. I don't want to be a millionaire. I wouldn't turn it down, but it's not my driver. My drive is what happens in the family home and what happens with the spare time I've got and who I can help on the way. And I've been able to do that. It wasn't the case at 20 years at National Grid, I can tell you. 70 hours a week. It sounds great flying out to New York and Boston and going to London a lot, but when you don't see your family grow up, what are you doing it for? So yeah, the franchise has given me what we wanted.
John, thank you very much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and your story and to hear the various bits of advice that you've got. So much of it resonates with me, so I really appreciate your time and thank you for joining me on the Disenfranchised.
Enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you very much for having me.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. Take care.
Cheers.
It's Easy franchisees come from a wide variety of backgrounds. You don't have to be a web designer or digital marketing expert. If you enjoy meeting people, building relationships, and have a desire to start and grow a successful business, then get in touch now.